So, this is the second video. Sitting here on the canal, hit the canal, Nassau. Yeah, it divides the city basically in two parts, and it is used for the year shipping spectacle that sometimes happens here when the owners of the boats return into their summer location where they super often here in the city have these kind of houseboat living style. And yeah, it's a cozy place actually. And yeah, it's definitely a place where I sometimes, even if it is in immediate closer to the street, I sometimes come for having a little bit kind of a moment for myself and thinking about stuff, because it's outside and it's a little bit green around, as you can see here, so that's always good. And yeah, it's a nice place to sleep actually. So yeah, I wanted to talk about a little bit more about myself. I realized that yesterday it was not such a real introduction as it should be, but yeah, so I'm 32 years old. I was born in Germany, in the southern part, like I said, at the French border. I grew up in a really small village. It's not even a town, you know, so they were still, I think they have 3,500 citizens living there or so. So it's really small. And yeah, I had a more or less rough childhood. My mother was, since I can remember, basically, I think it was the first time I remembered when I was 9 at Christmas. She was drunken, and she had or she still has, a big problem with alcohol, and that basically was the yeah, not the silver lining, but the opposite of that. That basically followed through our whole relationship. So yeah, that was not so easy at all. I found out for myself that I am gay when I was 13. So yeah, I told basically everyone of my friends, my family, because I thought it would be super normal. And I always had a lot of friends who were really open-minded. Their parents were like that, but they, yeah, were not my parents. And so my parents had a little rough reaction on that. So I was a bit disappointed from my father. He didn't talk to me 3 months or so. My mom, yeah, she said she would be okay with that, but it was a no talk about topic basically. So not like it should be for a child. And the whole thing was like that, and say it like that. And so I moved out when I was 17 in my own apartment, but there was someone from the government, basically from the youth organization and the authority, watching over it, that everything is fine, that I do not live in garbage trash, or that I get into, I don't know what kind of scenery, but you know, that was needed basically these days. It's, I think, still like that when you go out of your parents' house when you're not 18. It always has to be a little bit kind of thing behind that. And so it's watched in Germany. And yeah, I got my own apartment. I figured my own life out. I started working in the hotel business after I finished my school. First just as a usual waitress, let's say like that, or waiter. And later on I started my education in that field. So I found out that I was really talented in doing that. I was well organized. I was super friendly to people. I have a natural touch to help, to find solutions to problems that might be too big for others, or that they do not want to have the stress with, let's say it like that. And so that's perfect, you know. So I was quick, I was fast, I was one of the not so common men in that field in my area where I still lived, so it was not so far away from my parents' home. Let's say 15 kilometers or so. It was the next bigger town, St. Vendo. Yes. Let's give it 25,000 people living there or so. Yeah. And so I started my career in the hotel business, and then I worked in several hotels, catering companies. I even managed a restaurant for 1.5 years, and then I felt not good with that anymore, and I wanted to have a change in my life in general. It was around 35 or so, and then I made a decision that changed my life completely. I moved from the small town landslide region to the most dense on people filled place that you can imagine in Germany, basically. So the Ruhrgebiet, it's like there was an old industry, so they made steel and they mined charcoal there, and it's a melting pot of all cultures you can imagine, a melting pot of everything that happens, and so was my life there. But I started working in a totally different field. I started working in customer service. So I was absolutely sure I would want to do something with people, and I was annoyed by running around and all the stupid shifts that you have when you work in the hotel business in that area in general. So I figured out, let's start working in customer service. Never did that before, but let's say it like it is, that what I did is customer service 2.0. So it's way more hard to do that when you are in front of the person than when you are on the phone. But all people who know and who work in that field know that people on the phone tend to be more horrible than in front of you. So yeah, it has its good and its bad things, and it was super good actually. And after living in Essen, I first lived in Oberhausen. Then from Oberhausen I moved to Gelsenkirchen. From Gelsenkirchen I moved to Essen. And then in 2021 I met Patrick on the internet. Like I said, on Facebook dating. And it was on a Saturday morning when I was coming from a party actually. And I just wanted to figure out if there was someone to have a quick short date with. Something I do not really regularly, but I was like, okay, let's try out Facebook dating. I think at that time it came up and was a little bit new to me in general. So I figured that out, made a profile, and ignored it basically. And on that Saturday morning, I'll never forget this day, he reached out to me and we started chatting. And from the very first moment, basically, we started chatting, and we chatted for hours. Then we went back from Facebook dating to normal Facebook, added each other, talked in Messenger, exchanged numbers days later, and we started talking on WhatsApp. And we basically never stopped. I have hours and hours and hours and hours. I could count days on conversations that we had on the phone, and the video calls and voice messages and pictures, and yeah, super good memories actually, or at least they have been super good memories. Since then happens a lot, I can tell you that, guys. And the person who in the morning on a Friday morning at 6:30 sends me a video in which he praises how wonderful the day is in the morning, and that the sun is shining, and that he's doing some sports and sitting on a bike going for some cigarettes, and wished me the best day of my life, and was so wonderful positive, turned out into the person who had no problem with losing control over himself and bouncing me down to the floor, kicking in my face, boxing me from the top to the bottom, and then calling the police and tell them that I would harass him in his apartment. And we just had a fight about nothing. It was just a conversation about how we should continue and what happened all and how complicated the situation has been. So that was basically in 2025 when that happened. From year to year, it went worse. First, it was just like cheating and ignoring me and blocking me, and then I caught him with someone sleeping on his couch having sex, and then I found out that nothing is like he said before. Nothing is like he promised. He's not openly gay. He's not even really gay. I think it's just about the love that he do not have in himself. He's just searching for love, and I mean that's okay, you know. So definition of what kind of sexuality someone has is not nearly a thing that I actually like to do. So I always tell people that I'm gay, but I was even in love with a woman 2 times, and I find some women even attractive, but it's super rare. So it's easier for me to say that I'm gay.